Hey guys, it's your boy Jimmy. Just want to quick give you guys a rundown of the Escort build and a good way to properly play it, as I was trying to text it out. I wanted to link the video, kind of show you on the fly and in combat a great way to run the build properly and to get the most out of it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on that. Let me quick show you how I'm set up here. As you can see off the bat, this build is not done, so you gotta bear with me on that. Actually, I should be running this on my Fed Escort, as it's better suited for this actual test, I should say, as this build's not done and I have a couple little things changed on it. For starters, I prefer Tetrion weaponry, but since I am running this ship, I run Disruptor just for the simple fact that I can make my Javelin a lot more stronger. But as you can see, it's not done. I'm still running purple Mark 11 Disruptor cannons with one little Mark 12 thrown in there, which isn't really a big improvement in DPS, but it's just a mental thing and knowing you got the Mark 12. But I do have the Mark 12 Omega Deflector, which is a must. In my opinion, a must for any Escort build, really in anything but STFs. Anything else outside STFs, I mean, you want this. Even if you're not using the Tetrion glider with the 2-piece Omega set, I mean, the plus 18 boost you get to accuracy, I mean, speaks for yourself. I mean, you don't really necessarily need it on, let's say, slower ships. But for the faster ships like Escorts and some of the science vessels out here, I mean, accuracy is invaluable. So, I mean, you definitely want to run this. I personally put it on pretty much all my ships if I'm not running STF. Now, if I am running STF, obviously I'll use the Borg Deflector, for the 3-piece Borg for the shield regen as well as the hull. And as you can see, I'm still using the Mark 10 friggin' Honor Guard shield. But even at Mark 10, it's still a great shield to use. If you are a Klingon and you don't know about the Honor Guard, it's definitely something you want to look into. It has the highest cap in the game. I mean, even at Mark 10, it blows anything else out the water. Not only that, you also have that 20% chance of debuffing anybody attacking you negative 25% for 10 seconds. And it will confuse them for 1 second as well. So it's definitely something you want to look into. If not, and you really want to use that Tech Glider, you could also swap that with the Omega Shield. But in this case, I'm liking this setup, and I'm not using Tetrion Glider, and I'm doing just fine. So, and as far as my rear weapons go, I would prefer to use 3 beam arrays, but for whatever reason, I'm liking having 1 turret in there for some reason. So I'm currently running that setup, but as a first time use for this build, you probably want to try out the 3 beams first. I'm not saying the 1 turret is better, but for whatever reason, I'm liking it. As far as devices, first thing you want, aux battery. You're going to be using feedback pulse, I would hope. But if not, it's to each their own. But if you're definitely using it, you definitely want to use the aux battery. It really makes that skill shine. And, then 20 of them is only like 15K, so it's nothing cheap. Oh, and one thing I wanted to stress about on the as far as the weapons go on your ship, don't stress. If you can't afford the purple Mark 12 stuff, it's okay. I mean, it's really not that much better DPS. And yes, the STF gear is good if you're on a budget, but honestly, I mean, a blue Mark 11 weapon is dirt cheap in really anything, and you have more control over the modifiers. So you're able to, stack on more accuracy or more crit D. You don't lose a buff to the Borg that is useless outside of STF. So, I mean, you kind of want to, and I like to keep my STF gear in the inventory too, so I can swap it on the fly whenever, I get invited or I go. But in STFs and everything outside of STF, I mean, in PvP and everything outside of STFs in general, you want to use gear out of the exchange, where you have more control of the modifiers. So I don't know if I've already, covered that in this video, but I just want to put that out there, because some newer players are not, everybody's STF, and a lot of the times people will strap on all this STF gear and then come into a PvP or a really hard PvE and they'll get smoked and they'll wonder why. And that's why I always tell people you definitely want to run a PvP build for pretty much anything, as is very universal. And let me get back to this real quick. Red matter capacitor. Not everybody's going to have access to that, but if you do, you should already know it, and it's a great device to use, especially when you're not running an engineering team, and it's a quick power boost. But in this particular build, I don't really need the RCS console. I really, honestly, could probably put 2 neutroniums on this build. But just to show everybody I'll just run all 3. EPS, you want that. Beam overload 3, and in this case, javelin as well. It's going to knock my weapon power way down, so you really want that to pop it back up as fast as possible. The faster you get it back up, the faster your DPS is back up. Plain and simple. You really don't want to leave without that, especially when you're coming out of full impulse, when you're rushing up to a fight. It pops your weapons right back up. And neutronium, self-explanatory. RCS, obviously, you get a better turn rate. Now, it's not, you know, like I said, with this build, your turn rate so much isn't important, but if for whatever reason you want to do PvP or PvE and dual heavies, you want to probably use actually 2 of these RCS consoles, because the turn rate is everything with dual heavy cannons. In this particular case, I took my pay-to-win consoles off to, you know, kind of level the playing field a little bit. But, you know, if you do have them, obviously you're going to want to put them in science slots first, because as a tactical, that is your least concern. And your least interest, so kind of use it more as a storage slot. Now in this case I have 2, so what I actually do is I'll take my RCS off, because that's my least important on this build, and I'll put my other console in there. And as you can see, I am still in the process of slowly upgrading these consoles. But anyway, it's a build in progress. We all know that. Anyway, let me get to this freaking tray real quick. I like to run setting number 4. As it gives me overall the most tray space, and it gets rid of that silly bridge officer thing at the bottom that's never in the proper priority that you need to be using, especially this build, or really any build in general. But me personally, I like to run my shield heals over here, you know, quick access, anything that has to do with my hull, my resistance, you know, anything like that, I keep it down here for quick access. And as far as my tactical skills go, I like to keep the 5 most important ones, or 6 really, right here. So the quick, easy access, those are the ones I discussed when I was posting the builds that you want to pop last. These are the ones you do not want to touch. I don't care what they say, what they do. Do not touch these, other than Delta, and we'll get to that in a second. Do not touch these until you are ready. And I'm hoping I can show you in a second what I mean by being ready, and the ideal fight, and when to be patient, when to hold off, and not to panic. Because that is, if you panic in a PvP, you're done. I mean, you're gonna screw up, and you know it's not gonna look pretty, especially if you're in a good ship. But you definitely want to, you know, put these close together as I do, so you know, boom, boom, boom. You know, you're not having to go over here, then back here, and whatnot. But the majority of your fight is going to focus on these 4 skills. This is the only rotation you really need to worry about until you are ready. And you'll be surprised how long you can last without panicking and without prematurely popping off skills. But really, these 5 skills are the only thing you're going to be using in most of the fight, as far as your tactical skills go. Now, of course, if they're doing a lot of damage real quick, you want to pop your feedback. And actually, I like to pop maybe all 4 of these, so when I do a pass around, my beam overload 3 pops off, or if I see his shield faces down, I'll swing around, pop that real quick, get that extra, and it will hit almost up to 40,000 damage without all those buffs. So good thing to use. Tactical initiative, another skill that's overlooked. You definitely want to use that. I probably won't use it in this fight, but you know, every skill on a tactical officer that you get by leveling up are all crucial, really. I mean, as far as the other 2 careers have to go. But anyway, enough of the talk. Let's get into the fight. Ready? Let me just go find him real quick, and I'll show you exactly what I mean about how to play this build the proper way. And hopefully everything goes according to plan. As anybody's PvP before will know that no 2 fights are the same. So, you know, you can only hope for the best. But if you keep a cool head and you be patient and you don't get trigger happy, you pay attention to what's going on, I mean, this is an extremely solid build. course, it's even more solid that I'm running it with a Garamba, but the principle stays the same. And I believe this guy's actually using an Odyssey, so this will be not so much a great way to show you how crucial it is to stay fast and nimble, but it will be a great way to show you timing and when to plan your attacks. And there's two ways you can really plan it. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I actually had to redo that fight scenario since my sound effects was actually so damn loud you couldn't hear a word I was saying, so it was really pointless to even show that. But I'm gonna redo it again. I think I left off saying that talking about the timing, which is crucial. Like I said, these skills right here, you just forget they're even there. You don't want to touch them. You want to be focused on these 4 skills. Like I said, these are the only 4, actually 5, well really 6. Think of it as a T. But these 4 right here are probably your most critical. And you'd be surprised, you'd really be surprised how long you last, not needing all this other stuff, just with these 4. And basically, you know, the only time you should be over here on this side is when your health gets down to here. You know, so when you get down to about, you know, 60%, I actually like to get mine a little lower. My comfort zone is a lot lower. So, but some people might, you know, have a 70% hold comfort zone. But, you know, as you get better with the build and you get more proper with it, your comfort zone will change, and you'll be able to realize, you know, the lower your hold, the higher your damage boost. So if you're popping them up here, you're not going to have as much damage if you weighted to them down here, and that's where, you know, resist come in. But that's where it's the timing. Do not, until you're down here, don't move off of here. You know, stay out of here. I can't make that really any more clear, and I'm about to show you why. So basically, you just want to open with Delta, Tac Team, and one of your cannon rapid fires. Really doesn't matter. It's just going to be a rotation anyway. So, but you know, but basically that's all you're going to do. You're not going to touch anything over here yet, and you'll see why you want to wait, and you'll see why you last pretty long. Now, of course, this is a tank here. This is one of our tanks in the fleet. So, you know, this would be like a great way to test timing, and not so much basic. But you know, you just gotta chillax. You know, there's no need to, you know, get all aggressive about it off the bat. You know, some people want to play that way, but to really get the most out of build, you know, you sit back, you know, kind of watch things, like, you know, your health get low, but you actually really want it to help you get well. Maybe not so much at the beginning of the fight, but when you start using bucks, you kind of take a peek up here, see what he's using. But you know, just keep the rotation going. Of course, I keep messing mine up. But now, you know, if you beat your opponent before you need these boosts, you know, more power to you. See, like, there's a good example why, if I would have buffed up right there, because, yeah, his shield was down, but I knew he had to have some other healing abilities in it. So, it's a good thing I didn't, because I would have wasted all on the RSP, which is another good reason of having RSP, as well as, you know, feedback. Like, if he comes at a real strong, you know, attack, and I can use that feedback with see, he should probably be using Trapper Beam here soon. And I can show you, I can, it's about the time when somebody would use a Trapper Beam. Yep, there it is. See, and then they think they got you, you know, you just freaking power out of that with a damn polarized hole. I'm trying to still, hopefully my shield will get down here, or my hole, I should say. Otherwise this fight will be forever. But not all fights now, of course. If I knew ahead of time I was fighting Odyssey, obviously I probably honestly would have switched over to a heavy game, just because it's too easy to stay lined up. But against Escort and Fine Ships, you know, you're going to be wanting to use this in any bases. You know, like your Alpha bases, you know, you stay out of their targeting arcs as much as possible, stay fast, stay nimble, and, you know, you don't have to worry about being lined up. See, here we go. I'm just to go ahead and finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and pop my stuff. I'm low enough in my comfort zone, and go ahead and throw a feedback just for good measure, and boom, he's done. I mean, that's a tank, that's an Audi, and I mean, just as simple as that. Now, if that would have been a Escort, or per se some of these science ships that are floating around out here. I ain't gonna name any names, but anyway, you know, they would have been done a lot faster. Now this is an Odyssey that's built for tanking, so you know, I was mainly waiting for a timing thing. You know, basically, when I say timing, it's waiting for your hull to get in a safe level that you're comfortable with before you pop your main skills. But in the meantime, obviously, you know, I was talking, I wasn't staying in my rotation as true as I should be. But you just stick with these 4 and then pop Delta when needed, or if you want to just screw with them a little bit, you know. The only thing I don't like using Beam Overload 3 early, unless I'm just playing with somebody because I know I got the fight and I'm just toying with them. But you know, I try to hold on to that so it's available and maybe pop. So when I pop these, I got that Overload 3 also available. So once my cannon rapid fire, if that didn't kill him for whatever reason, you throw that Beam Overload. That's probably 30 to 40,000 damage right there, easy. So you know, just, you know, keep your shield up, you know, when you can, you know, and when you do get, like, let's say you're starting to get comfortable with the build, you know, you're down to 30% hull. Now this fight wasn't such a good example, but if I was fighting an Escort per se, you know, they're gonna be coming on me strong. So when I'm at 50% hull, you know, I probably want to click these a little bit faster, and then immediately go to evasive, and then my resist, and then RSP, and that will pretty much keep me from dying long enough to kill them. You know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you just go in there fully buffed, or, you know, or use your buffs a little earlier to finish the fight sooner. I could have done that, but I was, you know, showing you what to do in most fights. You know, you're not always going to fight an Audi or Odyssey. You know, most people in PvP are escorts or science ships or whatnot. So, you know, you're not going to have as much time to play. You know, things are going to happen a lot more fast-paced, and you're going to be hitting these a lot sooner than you think. So, but that, I mean, that pretty much is the gist of it. And let me show you another reason why you want to utilize your speed as much. As you can see, my normal flight speed, I'm at 80% bonus defense, a quick pop of evasive, and bam, I'm up to 95%. So, you know, that will also take into consideration for the fact that you have, like, you know, no engineering team or no, you know, hazard emitters or anything like that, you know, to pop your, you know, I think, you know, as long as you play the build right, you pay attention to what's going on, and, you know, you might have to change some things. Somebody opens up with a, you know, dual heavy alpha strike, you might be popping reverse shield polarity and some boost, and then, you know, feedback pulse, boom, and that right there will pretty much, their alpha's done at that point. If anything, your feedback pulse is going to shut them up real quick. But, you know, might have to adjust it. You know, of course, you might have to lose the first time and say, okay, this guy's going to alpha me off the bat. I'm going to be ready for it this time. You know, and you just get better as the more you play the build. I mean, it's, like I said, I've used it to all dual heavy cannons and turrets. I've used beam boats. I've used pretty much every build out there. And, you know, this one just seems to be the best overall, no matter who you're fighting. So, I mean, it's definitely something you want to practice with, try out. Of course, you know, you can change it up to fit, you know, you don't have to play it exactly how I'd play it. You know, everybody plays different, but I mean, this is just my tried and true method. But you know, I'm open up to any comments, questions, or even criticism. If there's something else you want me to try in a fight, or maybe try it in the STF, which, I mean, you don't really need to show anything there. That's pretty no skill anyway. But anything else, like if you wanted me to try a different tactic, a different approach, you know, just let me know. You know, post it on our site, let me know, and I can do a quick video and show you how I would do that, or how that would work. You know, just a little something. Now, I know not all, you know, our veteran players here probably really don't care about what I have to say, but some of you newer players that are maybe new to PvE or PvP or just builds in general, this is a great, solid, tried and true, tested build that will work in most scenarios, more so than all DPS cannon, you know, dual heavy cannons, or all beams or anything like that. This is your best, in my opinion, I wouldn't say the best, but a damn good fucking escort build that to definitely at least look into at least. So, but if you, I'm gonna do one on my engineering build and show you a damn good healing, you know, tanking ability, and how to properly run the build, which a lot of people seem to not want to do it right. And also my science build, which not so much as the engineers, but still I like to, as far as a fleet, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people, in all my experience, just to show people, a guiding light, I guess, for some of these new players. But just a proper way to run your build and a good build setup that actually works in most things. So, just stay tuned. Feel free to let me know what you think, or how I could, or whatever. I mean, I'm open for anything. So I appreciate it, you guys. I'm sorry I drug this out longer than it should have been, but I just wanted to make sure you guys, got the gist of how to run it, not only in text, but you actually saw a little bit in battle. So appreciate it, guys, and I would say live long and prosper, but I can't stand Spock, so I'm gonna leave you with a kapla.